own independent practice. So, Dr. Vipul, welcome to this session and congratulations on your first book.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here. And excited to talk about it.
Yes, and I'm excited to talk to you today in a very different capacity because mostly I'm in all of your psychiatry practice, but today you are an author and I'm just a market. So let me start with the first question. So what inspired you to write this?
So if I multiple factors, and we are doctors, physicians. When we think of problems, people bring to us. We talk about what are the personal problems, what are the professional issues, and what are environmental issues. So and that's how I see why this book was written. So let me start with the personal factors first. So I belong to a small city. I was born in a small city, a smaller city, and I was born in 1970s. And by that time, I mean, my family was fairly affluent. Nobody ever asked me what I wish to do. My father is a doctor, and it was just, you'll be a doctor, and I said, okay, fine. And so that's how my career journey began. And I'd known I'll be a doctor since I was 3 or 4 years old. That's what I remember. I was good in studies. I generally cleared every exam I used to give. And once I finished my medical college, I could tell people what DNA testing they should have, what blood tests they should have. But I did not even know what debit and credit was. So came from a very sheltered environment, and but general life skills, like I talked about, money management, or how much sleep do you actually need, what sort of food do you wish to eat, how to manage stressors, how to manage failures in life, how to manage exams. So all those things kept on niggling in my head, right? Look, I'm a doctor, I know everything, people appreciate what I do, but I did not know the life skills. I could tell you about medicines and all that, diseases, but I did not have the life skills. And you learn it over a period of time. But I wish that, somebody talked to me about them much earlier in my life, and I was 16, 17. School should be teaching more than just, studies. So it was all books, and I was not any different than other people. I was preparing for medicine, other friends were preparing for engineering, but we just studied, and that's all we did. So we did good in our life, but we never had the skills to understand what living actually meant. So those are the personal factors, that I said, okay, why not, we tell everybody, right? There are things, there are gaps in education that somewhere have to be completed. The professional factors were that, people ask me the question, some of these questions over and over again. And the idea was, how do you reach out to more people? Because you can't see everybody. So the questions that were asked by people who I met who are 16, 17, 20, 22. So even simple things like which we get badgered on, and some of my psychology colleagues will understand, is cannabis good or bad for me? Right? You would say, no, no, it's not good, but then you'll say, okay, in America it's legal. So we would have all those fights. So the idea of the book was that to allow people to make informed choices. So now you decide what you think works or what you think is good for you. So rather than being, descriptive, this is good, this is bad, the book follows the pattern. Okay, these are the good things that are possible, these are the bad things which are possible. You're grown up, make your own decision. The third one was environmental factors, which was COVID. So it's a COVID baby. Had a lot of time while COVID was going on. So the book was, started to write the book in COVID times. So from the time I typed the first, or wrote the first alphabet, and to time it got printed, it took us 3.5 years. So it takes a long, long time to conceive a book and to print it out.
So I read the book in one sitting, And honestly, I think what you try to say is it's a journey from adolescence to adulthood. But I think it's applicable for anyone. I mean, to say there are chapters in that which I wish I had known when I was, younger or maybe 20 years ago. I think it's a great book, and you've covered various aspects of self-care, mental health, money management, lots of things, which I think I have not been able to teach my children how to manage money. So I wanted to start with the first question. So I saw your book and I read it. So there is a format to your book. So you have used illustrations, you have used key takeaways, and you have also used space in different chapters for self-help. So just wanted to understand why you chose this format. Because that's a very different way of sharing your thoughts. So what prompted you to do that?
So, first of all, I mean, it took me 3.5 years to write it, and you read it in one day. So, no, so I have always believed that the visual medium is always the better medium. So you may write a lot of things, but if there are diagrams and sketches, then people tend to understand it more. The chapters have illustrations, they're short, because the concentration limits for people are lesser these days. So, and again, a little time for reflection helps. So there are a couple of books that I have read in my time which have influenced how I do things, and there are these reflective notes in there. So I have opportunities. So I hope people utilize that part. Because I think when you're reading it, if you're engrossed in it, then you might be able to reflect better at that time. Later on, people tend to forget.
No, I think it's very well documented and all the bibliography, etc. And I was very impressed. So it's a very thorough work by a great psychiatrist. So I think I must congratulate you for that. So you talk about stress management, relationships, dealing with failures, and then which is it's a very commonly used word now. I'm stressed, I'm depressed, and teenagers and younger adults seem to use it more. I think we also use it in our lingo a lot. I was talking to an organization this week, and they said, everybody in our organization is saying they are mental health. So the managers are very scared. How do you deal with somebody telling you that they are stressed and they are mental health issues?
So I'll separate the two words, stress and depressed. They're two different words. Although the word depression has lost its meaning. So for a medical depression to happen, there are certain criteria that need to be fulfilled when you say this person has a medical depression. But having an off day is not depression. Depression has to be for a few weeks when we say that it's a medical depression. So very few people have depression. A lot of people have stress. So stress can be defined by many different angles. So stress is anything that stops you from giving your 100%. So anything that interferes with your peak performance, you can consider it as stress. If we look at, so I've got a friend who's from IIT, so he tells in physics, stress means the pressure on an object. So so that is also a fair definition, right? Instead of object, you put a human being or an individual in. So, and furthermore, we have to say that stress is a very personal and a subjective thing. So something that might be huge for me might be very small for you, or something that's big for her might be small for me. So we have to appreciate that uniqueness, that individuality, and that is where I think the organization struggle. Because in their eyes, this is not stress. But in the perception of the employee, it is stress. If they are saying they are not able to function at their peak performance, then we have to call it stress. What we also have to say that there is nobody with no stress. Everybody has some stress. but there are just some people who are better at managing it. And learning those techniques, how do you manage your stress, how do you manage yourself on a day-to-day basis. Yes, it's okay, you might have, so for example, people who are chartered accountants, the end of the year, financial year, their stresses go up, but that's only for a limited amount of time. Or a very severe unwell person comes and sees us, then the stress will go up, but it should not be there all the time. You should not feel like it's bogging you down. You should feel fresh when you go to work. You should have a calm mind. That sort of thing. So stress has to be managed. I think we all have to accept it. Stress is here to stay. It was always there, but it hits us more because we are now all pulled into many, many directions simultaneously. So stress is there, but we have to manage it as best as we can.
And then you talk about dealing with failures. So I think you spoke about 5 stages of accepting a failure, and you use a different context for 3, but I think it spans to any kind of failure.
Yeah, with failures again, nobody teaches us how to manage failures in life. And people who have not had any failure in life, they will struggle more. If anybody's been following the news lately, in the recent medical exam, the NEET entrance test, 65 people had full marks out of 720 out of 720, which is unheard of, and I think it's not okay. How can you know every book from one page to another? So, but anyway, but nobody teaches us how to manage failures in life. Everybody is very okay, Baka, you are the best, you can do the best, all that. But if marks are less, or you don't succeed in any exam, okay, next time they play. That's about it. And if I go back to my own situation, so I was giving these PG exams, and medical PG exams are not easy. I'll take one example. So I gave the exam for AIMS, and I had 72 ranked in the country, which is a great rank, but I got nothing. So I didn't know whether to be happy or sad. Everybody would come and congratulate, well done, well done. I said, what do I do with it? So, and it happened on several exams. So the idea is to, have some ways and means to deal with challenges and failures in life, because they will come.
No, I think that's very insightful in terms of what the coping strategies you spoke about, when you're dealing with all these failures, and especially the younger generation. Today, I think they need more support in that area. It's probably because they are exposed to so many different things which we were not in our generation, and so their information flow is like coming from all places, 360 degrees all the time, which actually brings me to the next question. So you wrote a chapter on addiction, and you wrote elaborately about internet addiction, alcohol abuse, drug abuse. And then you also talked about social media and how social media is making us depressed, making us look at that's becoming our reality. This is what it is. This person is going to the US, and she's wearing this dress. That's how I started identifying myself. I look at myself and I said, oh, I don't have this. And now I just want to share with you guys, LinkedIn is becoming the next social media. So any professionals here? So it almost seems like, LinkedIn is also giving me a complex now when I open it. And I have to open it because of my personal professional work, but when I look at it, I start feeling,
There's a very beautiful statement I like. So addictions are opposite of connections. When you have good connections in life, then there's less likelihood of addictions. So, and we can talk about addictions to social media or alcohol or drugs. If you have support around you, the chances of addictions go down significantly. The second thing that I like is comparison is the thief of joy. So when you start comparing, whatever you have always seems less. Like you talk about LinkedIn, you see, okay, this person's post has been liked so many times, or they've written so many blogs, and they have so many followers. So even if you have 10,000 followers, somebody will have 12 or 50,000 or 1 lakh. So you will always feel, but generally those things were meant to be as motivators. Okay, look, how do I reach that level? So rather than your confidence going down, that look, why can't I have not reached it yet? Right? It's about, okay, so this is the next challenge. How do I reach it? So it should have a positive part to it, rather than self-blame or guilt or regret.
And you also spoke about alcohol addiction. And I think you gave certain scales and certain self-tests to see if you are addicted to alcohol. So you think a normal user like me is able to use that kind of scale and do a self-evaluation?
Yeah, so they are well tested and validated scales, and they are self-assessment. So you can read them, you get a score,
Sure.
and you would know what you need to do with those scores. Um, you know, alcohol is a big problem. No denying that. Somehow, alcohol has been equated to meaning entertainment or enjoyment. So a party or enjoyment means having alcohol flushed with it. So unfortunately, I think the popular culture, whether it's movies or music videos or songs, they have glamorized it too much. So as they say, moderation, everything is okay, but extremes of everything is bad. And if you go through the book, it also says that alcohol is a mal coping mechanism. So we have good coping mechanisms, bad coping mechanisms. Everybody talks about good coping mechanisms. Okay, have a hobby, go to yoga, go for a walk, go to the gym. Nobody tells what are bad coping mechanisms, and I can list some of them. So alcohol, smoking, weed, um, avoidance behaviors, procrastination, anger, stress eating, stress shopping, oversleeping, excessive use of phone, screen, social media. They all fall into the category of malcoping. That please shut me out from everything else. But malcoping makes your situation even worse. So if you have 10 things on your mind and if you avoid them, the next day you have 15 things to do. So malcoping mechanisms, because people are not aware, they say, okay, this is the normal way how everybody deals with it. So again, this knowledge is useful. So the first thing is getting the right knowledge, and the second is utilization. That's a different ballgame.
Absolutely. So in your book, you have a very big section on health. You talk about physical fitness and nutrition, and it's a book about. I was not expecting that in your book because it's sort of more focused on mental well-being and your mental health. So what prompted you to cover this so extensively?
So I've been preaching to everybody that you need to look after physical and mental health. So the book would have been incomplete if you didn't talk about those things. And again, this comes from personal experience because nobody teaches you all these things. And as any doctor, until I read about it, so 5-6 years ago, somebody even said, my son wants to take, or a young person who said, I want to take protein powder. I said, don't take it. Okay. Now my thoughts are different. But okay, so you can take it. But nobody teaches anything like that. So how many calories, how do you decide what workout is okay for you, advantages, disadvantages. So it would have been incomplete without that section. And I must say, I can't say that I knew everything. So I've had friends who have helped me in writing those sections because my knowledge was incomplete.
No, I think it's very elaborate. All aspects of health, nutrition, explained very well and very simplistically for anybody to follow and understand. So I really found it very useful and informative to anyone. So my niece here, she read your book and she really found this chapter on making career choices very interesting and money management. So then you also speak about work-life balance and then this diagram about energy, time and very interesting.
So again, as I said, the book is based on giving people information, allowing them to make informed choices. We may want everything at that time, but it cannot happen, right? Sometimes something will be left behind, and in your own mind, you have to do a risk-benefit analysis of your decisions that you make. And most of the times, there is no perfect decision to be had. You get some, you do some. So every decision you make will come with certain risks. It's up to you to find out what is your balance of what the benefits are and what are the risks that you're able to, let go or accept. So if you know it, then you can utilize it. So with careers again, it's a very different time for me because we had three. So 11th class was divided into three different things: science, commerce, arts, something like that, right? And now I have people who have psychology, I have economics, I have science. So it's very mind-boggling for me also to understand. So okay, which direction is the person going? But it's different times, and we all have to adapt and adjust.
Because I was actually looking for a very nice line in your book about why you need to make money. Something that, but something very, very, something like a very nice line, which maybe I'll ask you to read that chapter. Very insightful. So then we have a whole chapter on, sex, sexuality, and sexual orientation, and which I think is directly related to how an adolescent sees builds his or her self-esteem and confidence. Because I personally feel, and I'll share my own experience, but anything at this stage, when you're growing up and you're going through your growth signs and growth milestones, you become very conscious about your body and your self-image. And at that time, for a person to understand that what's going to happen, how to deal with it, I think that's very very relevant and to the point. Just to share with you, it's a very small thing, but I used to have popcorn here when I was young, in my teens. I belong to Haryana, so when I would go to any of the inner cities of Haryana, people would say, "Ye ladka hai ya ladki hai?" So they would be like so. I think they probably had never seen people like that. And talking about late 70s, mid 80s, but it made me very conscious. It kind of somewhere instilled in me. I became like very shy, very conscious about how people are looking at me.
Yeah, correct, absolutely. So, when we talk about specifically whether it's looks or sexuality, where do people get their information from now? So it's either the internet or your peers. So, and knowing where to seek the right information is as important as, what actually the platform you have for searching. So, with AI coming in, people talk about you have to ask the right question. It has all the answers. So again, normally you need to know what you are reading. Is that authenticated? Is that for your age group? And what we hope to do with the book is to allow people to have conversations. And we also encourage parents to read it, right? To see where children are coming from, because it's very easy to say, "हमारे ज़माने में तो नहीं होता था." So we have to talk about it, and we said about alcohol. it's been glamorized. Same as with looks, sexuality, all that has also been glamorized. So, looking perfect. So, I think it's about talking, open the conversation. In fact, even if the child doesn't want to talk, parents can initiate that conversation and let the child know that if you wish to talk, we are there.
Absolutely. And I think there's a great parenting advice in that chapter, which is like to help parents deal with some child who's going through a crisis or education, association with a particular gender. So, yeah. You talk about many aspects of life, career, relationships, money, addiction, health, etc. And we all go through this, and somewhere I think these all impact our well-being in some way or the other, and that's why I can connect the dots at the end of this, that they all contribute in small ways with how we develop our mental health. So whether it's stress management, anxiety, it will always stem from the fact that did I make the right career choices? How much money do I have in my bank even at this stage? So spending habits. So different aspects of life, relationships. So they all contribute to your mental well-being. Is that the secret sauce?
Yes, it is. So, look, people generally when they come to see, a professional in this field, or psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, they're all very much into okay, the last thing that has happened. So there's a bit of a recency bias. So my relationship has ended, or I've had a poor exam. And what we try and do is we like to go back to the cause of what actually led up you to this situation. So whether you picked up a wrong relationship because you were low in confidence and self-esteem, or there was a peer pressure. So you have to go back and and you've heard me talk many times about tarazu. You look at stress on one side, you put relaxation on the other side. Now stress doesn't have to be a huge thing. वो बूंद बूंद से सागर बनता है. So small things all add up to make a person feel stressed. And even if you can't solve all the stressors, even if you reduce 5 of them, say for example, you'll still feel better than before. So list down your stressors, see what is manageable at this time, and you start cutting them out as you go.
Great. So, Vipul, would you like to read a small excerpt from your book, any particular
I can.
chapter?
I won't read a chapter, but I'll just read the afterword.
Sure.
And I think the whole book is based on those two principles. So, I want to end this book with the concepts of mental fitness and mental happiness, which this book is based on. Mental fitness means the ability to take on challenges and ride the tides of life with confidence. Stress is part and parcel of our fast-paced lives. How smoothly we tackle it and also have the required resilience to stressful events constitutes mental fitness. Another related term is mental happiness. We may have financial happiness, we may have academic or work-related happiness, but mental happiness is something that is not given much importance in our day-to-day hustle. Financial happiness is no good if you're not overall happy in life. So try finding happiness in whatever you do and not just in work or finances. We all work to live, but we don't live to work. Similarly, people say that they're unhappy with their lives because of unsatisfactory work. And I usually tell them that we all have to work to keep the house running. It is as essential as brushing, feeding and sleeping. But do you get any happiness or joy out of brushing? There are other things in life to seek pleasure and satisfaction from. And what about a person's potential? Generally, a boss tries to motivate you by saying that you have a lot of skills, but you're not fulfilling your true potential. And you should work harder and give your work more time. To that, I would say, what about a person's potential as a father, a daughter, or a partner? If the worker provides all their time to fulfill their potential at work, they won't achieve their potential in the other roles they play in life. So we need to see life as a sum of all parts, not by a biased view of work and work alone. There is no right or wrong way to live a life, but it is always helpful to take stock once in a while of what you are doing and why you are doing what you are doing. I want to finish the book with what my school principal told me when I met him for the first time. Work hard, play hard, but enjoy yourself. So my sincere wish is that you have found this book useful and that it will help you make informed decisions in your life.
I read this mental happiness. It's excellent. So, last question from me, and you can, if the audience has any questions. Now that you are an author, I have to ask, when is the next book coming? And what are they going to expect to hear about?
Not for 3 years, for sure. No, I mean, I think I want to write more and probably write about how people can rock their lives after 60.
Cheers. We are looking at the role science. You also know, we know how to cope with life after 60, after 50. When you're older, when you're not really required by everybody as you were in most of your lives. No. I'm just saying, you're always required by someone. No. Maybe it's not the right term, but the older people, they really need to know how to cope with life. Because of the changing ethos, environment, the entire everything that's happening, the ecosystem, the social media, the impact, huge unnecessary impact of that. So we need to give us
You have inspiration. And I can give you, we both can give you 100 stories and we can co-write a book with Jayashree and you and me. So, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Thank you everyone for joining today. Do you have any questions for Dr. Vipul? Anybody? Any youngsters? Yes.
I'm not here.
I want to encourage the youngsters.
Okay, I'm a doctor myself and I took retirement, had enough of my job, and because from what I have heard from you, that let your work be part of a potential kind of thing, but I was not having a work-life balance. So is it okay to quit? I don't know. I thought I took it that way. And the second thing is how to can you convert your stress into motivation? Because I was not happy working, right? Because I went into admin, I think you can understand if you're a doctor yourself. So I went into admin, I was not happy because I was not with my patients. I tried for 4-5 years, I tried to convert that stress into motivation. But I failed. And I wanted to go for counseling myself, but somehow I thought it's better to quit because I was financially sound. So now today I have the opportunity of a psychiatrist who has expressed himself so well, especially mental happiness. And so is there some potential of converting, because you say everybody is stressed. So can we convert our stress into motivation?
So,
Have you written that down? Because I haven't read your book.
so COVID stress, it turned into a motivation.
Yeah.
Right?
But how?
But you have to find, opportunities in difficulties.
Yeah.
And as I said, we were talking about LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And so you might see somebody with say 10,000 followers, and
Yeah.
I might be 500. So you have to start thinking, but how do I reach that 10,000? Not
Yeah.
why has he reached 10,000. Right?
No, but that I do counseling to my kids,
Yes.
to some of my cousins, to being an elder sister. But as a psychiatrist, is there a shortcut to that? That I can do. But you are specialized in that field. Can you? It's very difficult to counsel, and you keep on counseling. Everybody doesn't accept it, right? That's why there is stress.
Yes.
So do you have a shortcut to that?
There is no shortcut to success anyway,
Yeah.
right? And success in life as well we're talking about. Doctors are very bad patients.
Yeah.
So, look, I think my psychologist colleagues will agree with me. So, writing down your thoughts is a great idea of trying to break that, because otherwise it just keeps on going in a loop. If you could have sorted it out, you would have sorted it out within 24 hours, 48 hours. You didn't have to take months to think about what I should do. Because you will just keep on going in a loop. Right? And sometimes, having so I have a few friends, their daughters are growing up, and to some patients. So they take their daughters for a well-being appointment with a gynecologist. Right? Why can't people go for a well-being appointment to a psychologist, a counselor, a psychiatrist, just to bounce some ideas? Right? Nobody is forcing you to be on medicines. Nobody is saying you come back again. But you bounce your ideas, you can come back and you can do whatever you want with it. Right? Some of us here are consultants. What do consultants do? They give you advice. What you do with that advice is your choice. Right? So I think that sort of changes need to come. Right? We'll take girls to the gynecologist. We never take boys to the urologist. They'll figure it out. Right? So changes need to come, and again, people from a distance might see you and say, oh, life is sorted, nahi kaam karne ki ichha nahi karna, छोटे बैठे, but nobody knows what's going on inside you, because you will say, oh, my peers are doing this and that, why am I sitting at home? Right? But again, you took an informed decision, right? Okay, my time and my potential at this moment is more at home, right? Or I can do more at home than at work. So, informed decisions are fine, and other people can have a different opinion on it. Right? But as long as you are comfortable with the decision, there is no problem.
Another thing, can I ask another question? Like, I heard that you were with NHS also.
Yeah.
You were in UK again. So what is the difference in the stress over there in England and in India? You must have seen the patients in both the countries. Sorry to ask, it's just curiosity.
Right. Like they say, tax, bacteria, ubiquitous. So stress is around everybody. The things might change, right? So here in India, we might worry about school fees or health or medical expenses. So those are paid off. So they have different sort of stress. Yeah. So those basics are sorted, but then there are other things happening. There's always a difference. So because you have to look at the cultural context. So let's say people who have mental health issues, so everywhere in the world, so it's 1 in 4, will have some problem at some point in their life. So it's the same everywhere.
So I'm ready to sound
Please do.
actually right. I think I'm also asking this on behalf of everyone around me. No, I'm alright. Now, what is that point that you recommend one should seek out? Not an astrologer, not a counselor, not a palm reader, etc., etc. All these professions are slightly right now on the back of the problems in book address this. But when you go to a psychiatrist and you say, I am sick, I probably need medication. So if you can tell me what that tipping point is, that might be helpful. I am on medication and I am in therapy, and I am just incredibly grateful for both things. But I'm also delighted with the medication. It's brilliant. So I didn't touch on medication at all, and I think that's it's actually a silver bullet. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about when does this work not help? And then what do you do? Right?
So at some point, everybody's penny drops.
Correct.
So I can't handle it. You would have also taken 6 months, 1 year perhaps before you thought that let me go and see something. Now, this is where the awareness comes in, not just yours, but of people surrounding you. If you look, you're not doing very well, things could be better, let's go and speak to a professional about it. Or you're wasting a lot of money on astrologers and all that. So somebody needs to be aware of it, because you might, so we talk about internet addiction, screen addiction, for example, and it's okay, or it's very easy to tell your child, okay, don't use it, but you have to give something else, right, to occupy their time, otherwise they'll be pulled back towards it, right? So, so when we talk about, you have to give people a way out of it, right? So for grown-ups, you accept that everybody has mental capacity, right? After 18, people have mental capacity. They know, or they can decide what's good or bad for them. And as adults, or as therapists, psychiatrists, we can only guide and advise, right? Same you can do when your children are grown up. You can just say, okay, wait, इसको ऐसे की जगह ऐसे सोच लो. You will not be able to say तुम ऐसे करो, right? So the penny drops for sure for everybody, but it takes longer. Now, the more awareness is there, the easier, or the good thing that happens is that in schools, especially where we are living, schools have a counselor, so children do not have that much inhibition about it. Right? The older generation might, but the younger generation does not have it that much. Right? I feel stressed, I'll go and speak to my counselor in school. Right? So it's getting better, we're getting there. In terms of medicine, look, my job is to write medicines, but and there are a lot of people who might disagree with your argument, right? Because the stigma is still from what we've seen in popular culture. So from 60s, 70s, 80s, that दवाई लेंगे, नशे में पड़े रहेंगे, छूटेंगी नहीं कभी, वजन बढ़ जाएंगे. I hear it all the time. But things have changed. We are 30, 40 years ahead of that side. Now, whether it's a cardiologist who writes a medicine or a psychiatrist, every medicine can have side effects. Right? So you take a gastroenterologist medicine, it can also have a side effect. So it's not unique to just my profession. But with my profession, there is just too much of stigma attached to it. And I promise you that, so the most popular antidepressant, and I used to work with Medanta, I would write it less, but my cardiology colleagues, neurology colleagues, gastroenterology colleagues will write it in bucket loads. And nobody will question them. And because everybody accepts that physical health की दवाई होगी, ठीक होगी, चल जाएगा. But psychiatrist की दवाई नहीं लेनी. So before we write a medicine, we have to do a lot of psychoeducation, what you can expect, what will happen, that sort of a thing. So it's harder for us. But that stigma is breaking as we go along. And in my time of working here for last 11 years in Gurgaon, things are much better than what it was.
Like I have seen a shift in the generation, right? So I've been visiting bookstores, I love to read books. There are more self-help books now on the shelf, and more younger kids are like Bexting and even this what's the name, Oprah Winfrey's writing of that. Like there are more books, so it means like there's demand and supply. So I guess now the younger generation is more open about it and they need this kind of help. So I think that is a good start in a way.
But I think this book is for everyone.
Yeah.
I want to say there were chapters in this which were very enlightening for me personally. I wish I had read this 20 years ago.
Right, okay. So, I've been a patient of Dr. Sundar, and I'm 46, and I'm entrepreneur. My first brush with depression or anxiety was around 97. Ages 92. And coming back, I would have to answer a question in part. Answer a question in part. You need to have people around you who have supportive. Otherwise, it becomes a lot of stigma. There always has been a stigma attached to psychiatric problem. All that stuff people used to say. But I was lucky. I'm not talking about my first experience. I was lucky when I was growing up. When I just passed out my spouse was as helpful, if not more, and as supportive. And she was the person who go to speak to see a psychiatrist. First I went to a psychologist. It was all going online at that point in time. So I consulted the psychologist, then I visited Dr. Sumi. And so yes, to sum it up, you need to have a support group around you. That helps a lot, apart from the education. Of course, the side effects will be there. Gain weight, I gained 10, 12 kgs, you know. I'm trying very hard to lose that. I lost 5, 6, but it all goes away. It all goes away. What remains is the experience. And I'm pretty sure this is not the last time this has happened with me. And as I say, it has happened once, it will not happen twice. It has happened for a second time, it is bound to happen. But I am perhaps a bit more prepared for it whenever it happens the third time. So yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
I was going to say that. Thank you for sharing, and which actually brings me to the last part of our discussion today. I'm very happy to formally announce that Medanta has launched a mental health support group called Manthan, which is for any age group. We'll be meeting once a month online and once a quarter in a setting like this. And you're welcome to join this group. It's for 1,200 rupees per annum. And anybody who signs up today will be also getting a signed copy of Dr. Vipul's book along with it. And yeah, so we already have other support groups running for dementia caregivers, but we realized that this was important to, like you said, unconditional, non-judgmental,
Yes.
and you are probably open to sharing it in this group because everybody here is informed and understands. So, which is what we are trying to impact. So, and I forgot to introduce Dr. Jayashree. She is my co-founder. She is a neuropsychologist, and she will be steering all our support groups. So, do look us up, and there are some brochures from Sabrina as well. And happy to answer any questions. But thank you, Vipul. Lovely talking to you in this setup. And congratulations on your book once again.
Do it. Thank you.
I think we can do one book.
And there are some cookies and biscuits. Please help yourself.
Very good.